And it can be a surprise because it's Jupiter and Uranus midpoint in Gemini. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. This is G. We're going to take a look at the end of August. This is the week of August 26th. So let's pull this puppy up and take a look at it. We have some things happening this week. Some you may even consider to be shocking and surprising. And let's hope it's not too disruptive. There she is. There it is. Monday, August 26th, and the following 5 days. So we're going to give you a short overview, and then we'll go kind of deep dive and then kind of back out again. We have Mercury already in a retrograde. We will have Venus entering a new sign. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We have Juno, my brain. We have Juno and the South Node conjunct this week. Yes, we will talk about it. We also have Uranus starting a retrograde this week. So the end of August, because it's a Uranus retrograde, we will see where it's at, what degree it's at, what sign it's in, what it angles, because wherever it angles in terms of the stress and tension and creating a square energy, well, that could be stressful, to say the least, but then disruptive and maybe surprises, because that's what Uranus is known for. So we're going to get into that. And then, we always got to take a look at the bad boy of the zodiac, Mars. We know that Mars, other than being the bad boy of the zodiac, it could be our temper, right? It's like, I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, right? It can represent our actions and our physical body and our appearance. But normally when you're feeling frustrated and angry and impatient and feeling like everybody around you just is moving too damn slow, blame it on Mars. So right off the bat, there's the Mercury retrograde on the 26th. There it is. You see, 21 degrees in Leo. Now, for those of you who've paid attention to the Mercury retrograde video, you know that this Mercury started its retrograde at 4 degrees of Virgo. Well, look what's around that degree. We have the sun sitting at 3 degrees of Virgo. So it's conjunct that point where Mercury began its retrograde in Virgo. Virgo is day-to-day routines. It's the minutia. It's the details. It can be kind of critical. It pays such close attention to details because there is this striving for, I can see how that can be done better. Like that's Virgo's motto. How can this be done better? And it's real practical. It's like, you're skipping over the foundation. You're skipping over the basics. You like all you have to do is add 1 + 1 together and you get 2. Don't you see? Like it can look at something, which I love this quality about Virgo. It embraces the details and it says, because I can see the details, I can see the big picture when I put all those details together. A lot of folks get bogged down with this. They get irritated by it. They feel like, oh my God, shut up already. Do we need all that information? It's too much. It's information overload for me, which it can be. My Uranus is in Virgo. It makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. With that said, this significance of the sun being where the Mercury retrograde began at 4 degrees in Virgo, the details, the minutia, my pets, the health habits, the day-to-day routine, cleanliness and hygiene, but jobs and tasks, to-do lists, right? This is the service industry, the Virgo stuff. And this is kind of like the really important stuff. The service industry is basically kind of sort of a big deal for the economy in the United States and kind of like staying and, out of a recession and, trying to come back from the pandemic. It was the service industry that well, these were the essential workers, right? The people who we needed. So this retrograde and taking a look at the data and the numbers and Taurus, which we're going to get to Taurus because Uranus is in Taurus and that's where it begins. It's freaking retrograde. So the sun here, the significance, Mercury is the news and the details. Mercury is also all about, I need to see those reports, damn it. Mercury and Virgo. Mercury doing a review, going back through Virgo and then into Leo, is looking at maybe some of the risks that were taken. because that's Leo energy. I gamble when we're talking Leo energy. This is sports and sports betting, and it's communication and details and data, but it can be news. It can be people who are very colorful, especially if we're talking about people in the news, but actors, actresses, people who are performing. We think the Olympics, even, absolutely, because this is athletic energy, Leo, but performative. I am performing, right? So, Leo energy, really colorful, very bold, courageous, and risk taking energy. The details and the data. Mercury significant this week at the beginning because this is where Mercury stops retrograding. It stops its retrograde at this degree, but not on this day. Not on this day. Okay. So Mercury retrograde, it all ends, it stops its retrograde motion. I want to say it's on Wednesday. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to say Tuesday, Wednesday, 27th and 28th. All right. 27th to 28th. This retrograde ends. So it goes forward. Mercury starts to move forward, but it's still in its shadow zone. The shadow zone doesn't end until Mercury clears 4 degrees of Virgo. Keep that in mind because it's still collecting. It's still gathering the information. And now the information that it's gathered, it has to now take it back and deliver it to the 4 degrees of Virgo. It has to retrace those steps. It's still on its retrograde journey. All right. So keep that in mind. I know there are some folks holding their breath, like what's going to happen with jobs. And so for this week, there's some connections that are being made here because we're going to see in detail a little bit more about that. Now, during this time, we're going to focus on Venus. Venus is at Virgo, 26 degrees, the beginning of this week. Well, when we get to about Wednesday, we've got 29 degrees in Virgo. So she's sitting right here at 29. All right. Virgo is the routines, the habits, the minutia. I connect the dots, the jack of all trades, but in a way where I'm getting stuff done. It's practical, it's logical. So there might be choices and options being made based on our values, Venus, our money, right? Because Mercury is looking at those details. And remember, these two are siblings and they talk and exchange information back and forth to each other all the time. Well, Venus just got done going through Virgo. Now it's going to enter Libra because here she is at 29 degrees on Wednesday, August 28th, 29 degrees, Venus in Virgo, a critical degree, right? The details, the minutia, and Mercury is now going forward. Remember Mercury's decisions, choices, and options, my prerogative kind of thing. So we usually either are changing our mind, retracing steps, decisions, reviewing something, right? Redoing something, the minutia, the details. Let's not forget, other than pets and the service industry, this is in your house. This is very strong domestic energy organized within the home. So the day-to-day health habits, health routines, kids getting ready to go back to school time, all that stuff, right? And then along with that, we have Venus, something critical with values and money in the bank and the jobs, but partnerships, somebody in charge, 29 degrees, right? But the very next day, Venus enters Libra, 0 degrees. At 0, also a critical degree. Partnerships, equality, fair. But this is marriage and also professional partnerships. So private and professional partnerships. Now, the big thing about this week, I've got drawn in here Venus, new sign Libra, right? Venus, new sign Libra on Thursday. Okay, Thursday the 29th. We go a few days from there, and we have Venus catching up to Juno and the South Node. So if I move this chart ahead a couple of days, Mars has now moved from 24 to 26. And at the end of the week, Mars gets to 28 degrees. But now Venus is getting closer to Juno and the South Node. Now, the South Node represents a release and a let go. So these are partnerships. And we also have the word partnership because of Juno. All right. There's also diplomacy involved too, diplomatic partnerships and a realignment happening because there's a release with the South Node. So it's a release with the South Node, but it's people who might have been connected financially. So this brings up the job market because when we begin next week, not to jump ahead, but next week's a bigger week than this week. Believe it or not, it's a bigger week because we start off with a Uranus retrograding, and this Uranus retrograde kind of kicks off the next week's chart, but it comes in combination with Venus getting much closer in conjunction with this release in Libra. So Libran energy in your chart, you're looking for 5, 6, how about this? 4, 5, 6, 7 degrees. Libran energy, 4, 5, 6, 7 degrees. You're going to have Venus and Juno all conjunct together. All right. We have a point in time where these two are like at 6, and then Venus joins the party. But the behind the scenes story of that big release in conjunction is Uranus and Taurus, and Mars getting closer to a critical degrees in Gemini. So September 1st, Sunday, the end of this week, Sunday, September 1st, Uranus begins its retrograde at 27 degrees and 15 minutes. There is a separate video for that. I'm going to connect it or put a picture or put the link down below, hopefully both. I never know what I'm going to do. It just depends on where the freaking moon is and where my Mercury and my Venus are and what I'm being told to do. And I'm like, sure, whatever. So money, values, banking, and absolutely the jobs and possibly the job reports. And here's a midpoint to kind of hit this home for you. If you look at air, you see the Jupiter-Uranus midpoint. It's at 7 degrees here. That midpoint is a trine to the South Node. You see that? The South Node's sitting at 7 this week, and Jupiter and Uranus midpoint is at 7. This is in air. This is communications. This is business. Gemini energy, business, white collar jobs, people who work in the tech industry likely. So there's like a realignment. This can be lawyers, Libra energy, the scales of justice, right? We think of that connection between these two and how if it's a trine, which it is, it's a trine. So it's an easy release. It's a release that just easily occurs. And it can be a surprise because it's Jupiter and Uranus midpoint in Gemini. So does that mean someone gets a yellow slip or a pink slip or a message? I don't know how that's done, right? Never had a white collar job. I don't know how people get notified of, well, there's a layoff or a furlough or whatever. I'm not sure how that works. But what I want everyone to be aware of, there is definitely a reshuffling going on because of the Pluto in Aquarius, because of the Uranus in Taurus. There's a reshuffling of things. So even though you might get like, okay, that department doesn't exist anymore, right? There's going to be new departments created. There's going to be a reshuffling of opportunities. Okay, so have some hope. Many of the jobs that may possibly be eliminated or reshuffled or relocated type of stuff, South Node and Juno together in Libra speaks strongly of that, especially because Venus is going to join that party. So the money is definitely part of that conversation. And that's where the decisions are made. It comes down to the finances. And the finances get appropriated and put in certain directions, and budgets are created. There's long-term plans that us little people don't know about, right? And so because of those long-term plans and because of readjustments that have to be made, these things happen. So for this week, we can see the setup coming down the pipe here because Uranus, Sunday, right? Sunday, Uranus brings the shock and the surprise, or however you want to look at it, the awareness, the alarm clock, the Big Bang alarm clock that goes off. So this is the energy of the week preceding Uranus doing this, preceding that. So go watch the video to get more details on that. But bottom line, it's in Taurus energy. And it talks about Venus because Venus rules Taurus. And lo and behold, Venus will be in Libra when the Uranus retrograde begins. You see Venus at the critical degree in Virgo. So we see the story. We see how we got here. Jobs, service industry, right? So we might see just a reprioritization. We might see a reshuffling. We might see a new focus of, well, now it's white collar jobs. And so possibly it's simply, you know, I don't really have the words at this moment because it's like there's this great X factor, like there's a great unknown. And with the great unknown, um, the astrology, looking at the basics of this astrology, speaks to the past, South Node, right? And Libra. Well, partnerships aren't normally made, but like it speaks to contract workers for sure, right? Because there's partnerships that are set up, professional partnerships. And then they usually have like a deadline. Well, it's the South Node energy. And when the Juno energy is part of the South Node, it's like this partnership has an expiration date. It's meeting the South Node. Now, it doesn't mean a new contract can't be signed. It doesn't mean that a new contract can be signed. So where there's an ending, there can be a new beginning because we know we have a North Node in Aries, right? But money is the thing here. So possibly people going on strike, right? I know there was talk of strikes back in July, June and July, major corporations. So maybe it's also that. That could absolutely be this. We're going on strike until we get a new contract because this is contract energy. Contracts is definitely Libran energy. We need a lawyer to write that contract. All right. And so this looks like this could be some of that here for sure this week. And because it's also part of the Mercury retrograde, we wait until Mercury gets back here to Virgo before we sign the dotted line because we're like, hey, wait a minute, damn it. Right? I'm of value too. We do have Hermes entering Pisces. So that would be the entertainment industry, the movie industry. I think last summer we had the movie, I don't know what summer it was, where we had the writers' strike to this, but this is Hermes in Pisces retrograding, right? So it's at 0 degrees. Hermes brings us information. It is about communication. It is about bringing two divided parties together and having a conversation. Remember, Pisces can create understanding and it can unify. It can unify. So to me, this is positive, but there's still disruptions. And I have an arrow on Pluto because we are recognizing we've got Pluto in Aquarius. Uranus rules Aquarius, folks. Remember, it's in Taurus, money and banking and global banking. And it's 0 and it's 0 degrees in 6 minutes. So we're Pluto, we pay attention to the minutes, shocks and surprises at that degree, pay attention to the opposition, which would be Leo. This is big for me and my mom because her natal Pluto is in Leo at 0 degrees. So when you speak of people who have power and who truly within their core root of their being, within their soul, feel like they are the boss and the supreme commander. Oh my God. Holy shit. And then we go across the way to Capricorn and it's Sirius. It's how I'm nurtured, my job, my long-term financial stability. So this truly is corporations and people, the people kind of trying to stick it to the corporations. We have unions saying, hey, we have a voice here. And when we're all together, we have power. So it's people creating that unified body to create the difficulties, to create that big T-square energy. So union power. On the last note, as Mars here gets to the 29 degrees of Gemini, this is at the end of this week going into Monday. That means that Mars is squaring Neptune. But Mars can't square Neptune, just so that we're clear about this. It's really Neptune squaring Mars. Neptune has more power than Mars. Mars is your physical body and your energy. Think about that. Your ability to travel, because it's in Gemini, if you're in a car or you're driving or your short travels and your distances and your journey, you might feel sleepy. It's the physical body. Okay. So remember, that's at the end of the week. With the Neptune and the Mars is if you take substances, like if you got to take something for sleep at night, you're probably not going to need as much. Right. So 2 days before, 2 days after, Mars is not an especially fast or slow mover. So I would assume you might feel a little drowsy, possibly all the way until Tuesday. All right. So just keep that in mind. adjust your sleeping schedules, adjust the kind of meds that you use, or if you take drinks and you like little substances, you might notice that they are a little bit stronger than usual for you, because that would be Neptune effect, the Neptune effect. Just recognize Neptune's power. It's strong. It increases our physical sensitivities, and it may make brain fog a very real thing for some of us, especially if we have to talk for a living. All right, guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. You got questions, comment below. Remember, I want to know where you're watching from. And thank you for all of your understanding and your patience. I appreciate it. And thank you for all of you who were on our power rundown, who sent me Venmos and Cash Apps and sent me support and just, try to help me in the channel. And I appreciate it. Thank you to each and every one of you. I'll take care, and I hope you do too. Bye-bye.